আপনাদের সকলকে আমি আবারও আমন্ত্রণ জানাচ্ছি আজকের ক্রিমিনাল লয়ের উপর এই আইন বিষয়ক অনুষ্ঠান ক্রিমিনাল জাস্টিস প্রোগ্রাম দেখবার জন্য। আপনারা দেখছেন জাজের ছবি, আমরা এই ভিডিওটা প্লে করতেছিলাম। আজকে আমরা এই ভিডিওটা একটু লম্বা আছে, যার জন্য আমি কথা বেশি না বলে আমি আপনাদেরকে এখন ভিডিওটাই প্লে করব, আপনারা শুনতে পাবেন। আমি কন্ট্রোল রুমকে রিকোয়েস্ট করছি আপনারা প্লিজ জাজের স্পিচটা প্লে করেন।
That complex of tenement flats where Nikki and her family lived. A large number of Nikki's family, friends and neighbours set about searching for her. Nikki's body was discovered in the basement of the old Exchange building only the next morning by a local teenager. In the police investigation which followed the murder, you were interviewed by police officers conducting house-to-house inquiries. You later gave a witness statement in which you said that you had seen Nikki playing in Weargarth earlier that evening. You told the police that you'd been out getting fish and chips between 9:30 and 10 p.m. that evening, so giving yourself a neat but wholly false alibi for the time of the murder. In 1993, an innocent man, George Heron, was tried and acquitted of Nikki Allen's murder at Leeds Crown Court. As the years passed by and you got on with your life, you must have thought often about Nikki's murder. You must have thought, no doubt, with some satisfaction and some relief, that you'd got away with it. However, the science of DNA analysis was advancing. New developments led the police to identify traces of YSTR DNA, which matched your profile on the T-shirt and leggings that Nikki was wearing on the night she was murdered. Whilst not as specific as autosomal DNA, the YSTR DNA profile was nonetheless discriminating. Mr. Chapman, the forensic scientist who gave evidence before this jury, accepted that the YSTR DNA profile found on Nikki's clothing was not necessarily unique to you. It would have been shared by any male relative of yours, but the police investigation effectively ruled out the possibility of another male relative being in the Sunderland area in October of 1992. Mr. Chapman also accepted that your YSTR profile might be shared coincidentally by other males. The chances of that coincidental sharing may have been in the order of around 1 to 28,000. But the jury had to consider what chance there was of an unrelated man coincidentally sharing your YSTR DNA profile, living within your local community, knowing Nikki Allen sufficiently well to be able to lure her away from the Garth, and who also knew the old Exchange building so well that they were able to navigate their way round in the dark. The DNA evidence was powerful evidence against you. A review of other witness evidence demonstrated inconsistencies in the accounts which you had given the police and showed that your alibi, which you'd given yourself in your police statement, must have been false. This led to your arrest and charge. The discovery of Nikki's dead body and the long search for her killer has shocked and bewildered this community for the past 31 years. The long search for Nikki Allen's killer culminated in your conviction for the murder of her on the 12th of May of 2023. Nikki Allen was loved. She was loved by her mother, whose moving statement of loss and sadness has been read to the court this morning by Mr. Wright, King's Counsel. She was loved by her father, whose life was changed by the events of the 7th of October of 1992. She has left a hole in her family and in the community in which she lived. I now sentence you for her murder. There is only one sentence which I can impose for the crime of murder, and that is one of life imprisonment. I must, however, go on to consider whether to make a whole life order or to make a minimum term order. That is, a minimum term which you must serve before consideration is given by the parole board to your release. I must have regard to the general principles set out in Schedule 21 of the Sentencing Act 2020 when deciding whether to impose a whole life term or when fixing the minimum term which you must serve. Your offence was committed before the 18th of December 2003. This makes a significant difference to the approach which I must take to sentence.